was really Tibetan drum roll.
Unplanned as well. Unplanned.
It was unplanned. Just going to bring up the comments just so we can wait for people to arrive. As always, we're going to check if we're live. So we're going to...
Art thou live?
We're going to get it.
Are we just speaking into a void right now? Yeah, look at this end. Look.
Probably speaking into a void.
We're live. Look, I can see.
We are live, but we're just waiting for all of our Ever trekkers to turn on. That's weird. I can hear my own voice, Dave. That is very, very weird.
Hey, Dave, how's it going?
How are you the first one on here?
Exactly.
That's not allowed. That's not allowed. If you've just joined us, do drop a little comment in the comments there. It'd be great to see who is going to be the first one today on this really wet and windy Tuesday. It's been a bit rubbish, hasn't it?
So miserable.
Hasn't it? It's been nuts.
𝘂𝗵𝗲𝗿𝗲.
Where's our winter?
𝘂𝗵𝗲𝗿𝗲 is on the live. Does that mean she's not traveling?
I think she's not traveling.
Not traveling, nice.
We know is a rarity these last few years. Hey, Sophie, how you doing? Nice to see you on, mate. I hope all is well.
Richie J.
Richard, how you doing, mate? Good to see you on. I hope life is treating you well. I've seen your baking skills. Very good.
Bacon.
Baking.
Oh.
Not bacon. Baking.
That's all right. Cake or bacon, basically. It's all right.
No, honestly, you do some fantastic baking. Hey, Gary, how you doing? Pratesh, Bri, I know, welcome back. Yeah, apologies. It's been a bit kind of nuts the last few weeks. I know you had the pleasure of Dave and Jody discussing 𝘂𝗵𝗲𝗀𝗃.
That seems like it was a while ago now.
Week before last, huh?
Yeah, because we were off last week.
I know. It's been a bit crazy this season. But anyway, we thought we'd do a kind of bit of a change today. We wanted to kind of look ahead, look forward into 2024 and beyond. I know we're early because we haven't reached the end of November yet, and obviously we've got December to go, and Christmas and New Year is on the horizon. But we wanted to essentially talk about what's next, and that is also from what's next, Evertrek, but what's next for you as well, because we've had some sort of questions and comments. I've seen the group as well. Maybe some people are asking, I've just done 𝘂𝗵𝗲 or just done base camp and I want to do the other one. Which is harder? Have people done both? So we thought that opens up a really good kind of talking point around, if you're doing Everest Base Camp, 𝘂𝗵𝗲𝗃, Machu Picchu, and you're wondering about what's next, then let's talk about that. We thought it was a good one to kind of talk about.
And it's kind of apt as well because the season in Nepal is coming to an end.
I know.
So many people, our Kilimanjaro season has come to an end. So that won't start up until the new year. So there's probably a large amount of people now that have done an awesome trip, perhaps for the first time, who are at home now. They've had time to recover. They've forgotten how bad the altitude sucks, and they're thinking to themselves, where shall I go next? And it's something that I always think about. I mean, to be honest, I'm about 4 trips down the line now. So you do start stacking them.
And the rest.
But sometimes, it's different for everybody. Some people may come back from 𝘂𝗵𝗲𝗃 and think, I never want to climb another mountain again, but I do want to go on a trip.
True.
Other people will come back and say, that was amazing. I want to go bigger, higher, harder. So how to narrow down what trip's right for you next.
Yeah, and just to welcome some of the newbies as well. We've got John, Paul. How you doing, Paul? I hope all is well. Paul, was it yourself just come back from 𝘂𝗵𝗃𝗃? Was that right? It was you, Paul, wasn't it? Well done on the summit, by the way. Hopefully it's the right Paul. Sorry, Paul. I know I'm literally, because I know we've got a few Pauls in the community, and I should know, shouldn't I? But yeah, congratulations on the summit. I know Kate. How you doing, Kate? Lovely to see you too. Fantastic again on 𝘂𝗵𝗃𝗃. Was it back end of last month, wasn't it? It was an absolutely fantastic trip. And Kate was on the 𝘂𝗃 to Summit trip, the private trip with myself and Dave. Which was fantastic. It wasn't
just the 3 of us.
It wasn't. There was 13 of us.
13 of us,
on
yeah.
That,
but it was amazing. We're doing that trip again, actually, with the 𝘄𝗵𝗲𝗃𝗀𝗃.
Yes. Very excited about that.
Yeah,
very excited.
Really super hyped about that one.
Well, it's been something we've been percolating for a while, and we're talking about what next. In terms of the next trip for that, I suppose it's only right, to give it its plug. And 𝘄𝗵𝗲𝗃𝗃 is something that we've been building up for a while. Because it's 4,000 meter peak, it's a bit of a rugged peak as well, but also kind of quite a unspoiled area, I could say.
Yeah.
Although a lot of people live there, it's not well known really in the trekking world. So yeah, we wanted to kind of
it's more
build that up a little bit.
Rock climbing and ice climbing world has been synonymous there. A lot of history to do with some proper celebrities in that world. But the 𝗄𝗵𝗲𝗿𝗲 is, I think, it's Italy's oldest national.
It's the first national
park, and one of the oldest in Europe. And so it's amazing that it's been so established, but yet so relatively unspoiled in terms of tourists and over saturation of tourists and stuff like that. So now's the time to kind of go there, because
it's a cracking place, isn't it?
I have a funny feeling we're going to make it super popular. So if you want to experience what it was like first, and you want to those bragging rights, I saw the Beatles back in the day in Liverpool. You can say that about 𝗄𝗵𝗲𝗿𝗲.
I saw the Beatles. Brilliant. Jodie's on the comments. Jodie, can you put the link in the comments? That'd be great. Just so everyone can see that, which is the Peaks, Passes and 𝗵𝗲𝗄𝗃 trip. Drop it in the comments. That'd be awesome. I did get the right Paul. Paul, here, mate. I'm glad it's you. But thanks for sending me your pics as well from the summit. Absolutely fantastic. Nice to see you all summit. It's a toughie, isn't it? It's definitely not easy getting up there. And I know Sophie mentioned there about doing the 𝗂𝗂𝗀𝗃 trek to Machu Picchu. Yeah, we've heard it is a bit of a challenge. And thing is, you're right. Like one thing we're going to talk about, certainly around what's next, is evaluating your first couple of trips, or evaluating your first trip and seeing what's next. And obviously, one of those things, because of the types of trips that we do, is the altitude. And it goes to show, like, Kili is harder than 𝗂𝗂𝗀𝗃. EBC is harder than 𝗂𝗂𝗀𝗃, but yet altitude can affect you anytime. It's a funny one. Your body can react in different ways, different times.
You do go higher quicker when you go to Machu Picchu.
That's true.
So it takes, when you look at EBC, although you go to a high altitude, when you look at the profile, you leave sea level. You go to 1300 in Kathmandu, 2.7 in 𝗂𝗏, 2.4 in Phakting, 3.30. So there's, and each of those on consecutive days, where you go to Cusco. So like day one,
it's Namche, isn't it? 3,300 meters.
It's like sea level to Namche in one go.
It's a biggie.
So funny enough, Machu Picchu, a lot of people say that it's actually a tough start.
It is a tough start
if the altitude kind of decides it's gonna be mean to you.
It's always like 𝗂𝗂𝗀𝗃, and whilst we're on the subject, obviously it's not a trip that we do currently. You never know in the future, because we decided against it because we wanted to do more remote stuff. But yeah, it's a beautiful place. And the altitude profile is definitely one of the things that I struggle with on that route. Just from, like you said, it's speedy. That's why we kind of like, especially the 𝗂𝗵𝗃𝗃 and the Inca Trail, do build in that extra acclimatization day, even though it's hard. Like, for instance, you're going from 3,300 meters, and on the acclimatization day we do before going to we go to a little place called 𝗶𝗏 Picchu, which is basically like it's a small Picchu essentially. It's nowhere near Machu Picchu. It sounds like it is, right? And essentially it's no, it's not. It's called
𝗶𝗏 Picchu.
No. I'm gonna rewind. It's called 𝗂𝗏𝗀𝗃𝗀𝗃. Little Cusco is what it is. I was thinking that doesn't sound right.
When you said 𝗶𝗏 Picchu, and I was like, pretty sure that's the peak.
It is
right by Machu Picchu. But
that's it. 𝗂𝗏𝗀𝗃 is what it's called. And it's about 4,300 meters, and you go from 1,000 meters up, and then you go back to Cusco. Cusco is a lot easier to kind of because it's quite hard. You're walking up the steps. There's a lot of uphill in Cusco. It can be a little bit hard work when you arrive there. So certainly the altitude profile makes a difference, doesn't it?
Whatever you said, she missed the Evertrek guide. Just did feel super rushed. And then if you're quite slow like me, you end up alone at the back. Not on my watch, Sophie. Not on my watch. We would have slowed that group down. I know but it's great. I mean, I know there's a lot of good guides out there, and again on the 𝗂𝗂𝗀𝗃 route, I'm sure you had a great guide, but I know what you mean. It's it's nice to hear, especially as you've been on EBC and the kind of level of guides that we have. They do like to slow you down a little bit. Because no rush at altitude, definitely. But I mean, obviously looking at all the some of the comments here, who said what there? Lee, I'm sure on that Netflix series, Race to the Peak. Have you seen that? Yeah. That's with 𝗂𝗏 𝗃. Oh, and we talked about it. Tragically, the other guy whose name I can't remember. Daniel something like that? Daniel, forgotten it. It's typical because
just as good a climber in really. But yeah, really good Netflix documentary.
Yeah, no, it makes for some good pub debate.
It
That
does.
one, you know.
Very
So
good pub debate.
in terms
if
of
he did it or not,
what your thoughts are on how they did it.
Yeah.
Was it a true competition or not? Really fascinating. I mean,
It is.
both of those guys, absolutely fantastic. I mean, to be honest, personally, I think I resonated more with Daniel than 𝗂𝘁'𝘀.
Really?
Yeah, because
Controversial.
he was more. 𝗂𝘁'𝘀 was like, you know, what they got, the Swiss machine, you know.
Yeah.
It was all methodical, and I never got the sense that there was much joy in what he did.
I see what you mean.
With Daniel,
okay,
you know, there's you see the footage of him sat in the mountains. He's a guide, and he's having tea on a cold mountain top. And I don't know why. There's something about him. I thought if I had to pick one of those two guys to go on a trek with, I'd probably go with Daniel. Not to say that I wouldn't have loads of questions. Sadly, 𝗂𝘁'𝘀 did pass away.
I know. It's
But,
when was that? In it was a few years ago. now, wasn't it? 19?
It was 16 or 17.
No, it was 2017. I remember now.
I'm
Yeah,
pretty
'cause we were
certain
there.
it was 2017 because
Yeah.
I think I was in there at the same time.
Yeah, we were.
Because
Because
we both were,
we
weren't
both were. Yeah. Base Camp. But yeah, really good documentary. Highly recommend it, by the way. Yeah, I think it's called Race to the Peak, isn't it?
Race to the Summit.
Race to the Summit, Race to the Peak. Yeah, it's very, because the biggie of it, and I didn't realize whilst watching it, is that there was a lot of questions asked around 𝗂𝘁'𝘀's peaks.
Yeah.
Which was quite sad in a way, because obviously I've followed him for years, and always one of those names you kind of hear. So it was kind of hearing about, he was so methodical in his training, so methodical how he climbed peaks, and that he always forgot to have a camera with him. He always forgot to turn his watch on. It kind of didn't marry up, so there was always that kind of like, did he actually do those summits or not?
I suspect he did.
Yeah,
because there was one where he was at Annapurna, wasn't it? And his team turned back and he carried on.
Yeah,
he didn't have a tent, and he was up there all night. You had to have been moving during that time. So I doubt he just hung around for sort of 12 hours and thought, yeah, I'm back now.
I'll take it off. Yeah, exactly.
So
exactly.
yeah, no,
that is true.
But at the same time, though, in today's world, if you don't have proof, it didn't happen.
I know. Now it's quite big now, isn't it? Obviously we've got tech.
Look at what Guinness do to give you a world record. You can't I can't just rock up and say, hey, Guinness, I just got the world record for the 100-meter sprint.
There's some more stringent stuff,
but I didn't put it on Strava.
But it is in, like, I know we're kind of going off a little bit.
Welcome to the 𝗂𝘁'𝘀 Netflix special.
I know, it's interesting, isn't it? This is an open forum at the end of the day, and comment as well if you've got an opinion on this kind of stuff. Drop it in the comments, because it's always keen to hear how you think about this stuff. And it is interesting thinking about all nowadays. There's always someone doing firsts and speed, and we got to kind of go back and my personal opinion is take it back to the simple stuff. And the stuff of reason why you go there is to enjoy the mountains.
Yeah.
Especially at altitude, you don't want to be going too quick at altitude. And look, I'm all for achievements, but it's going back to the central reason about why you go out into the mountains in the first place, which is to enjoy it, to have that free time, to kind of obviously the views, the people you're with, rather than thinking I'm going to get there and be the fastest.
I've done loads of firsts.
We should go back to that,
Loads of firsts.
Okay.
2016 was my first time to EBC.
See where you're going there.
2020 was my first time on 𝗂𝘁'𝘀. Each of these were the first routes for me.
See, I like that.
But I don't give a monkey's whether or not.
I wonder if you're going to say that.
I don't care about being furthest, fastest, first, all the Fs.
Yeah,
I'm there just to say
enjoy it,
just to say I've done it, have a good memory. During those 2 years in COVID, the memory of 𝗂𝘁'𝘀 sustained me during that period.
But I think you're right though. What you said there is that the only thirst you should be worried about is your own.
Well, exactly. Yeah. If you don't do something because someone else did it first, it'd be insane.
Exactly.
Imagine if the world functioned that way.
It'd be nuts.
Starbucks would sell one coffee.
Brian.
And that'd be it.
It's good business. Bri, how you doing, Bri? If you didn't post it on Facebook, you didn't summit. Well, there we go, mate. There we go.
Yeah. So what they say, it's not on
Strava.
I'll be honest, I do record a lot on Strava.
There's a lot I don't.
But weirdly, for me, I don't take photos or videos a lot, do I? For me, Strava's my record of having done something.
It is.
And then I use your photos because I'm not.
I do take photos. I do a lot of photos.
Yeah, that's what's great. I used to take photos, but mine are crap. And then I go with you, and then I'm like, we're both sat there taking the same picture with the same thing, but yours is better. So why would I need to?
Wow, it's always good to have two different perspectives on the same scenario.
Yeah, a good one and a crap one.
But no, going back, I know we've gone off on a very big tangent there.
Thanks,
Lee. But no, it's great. It's a great subject, and you know, it's always great when these kind of shows or series come onto Netflix, and you know, it's good to bring up and talk about that and talk about that journey, or you know, especially like I remember there was, if you remember, we released the Langtang trip. I believe it was beginning of last year, and obviously that was off the back of the Aftershock documentary on Netflix. If you haven't seen it, by the way, really good, and that opens up kind of just, you know, new thoughts on different things. So yeah, definitely worth talking about that stuff. But yeah, bringing it back about what's next, and the reason we wanted to talk about it today is, you know, like Sophie mentioned earlier, you know, doing base camp, and then you got 𝘂𝗲𝗀, just done 𝘂𝗵𝗂𝗂. You know, Paul just taken on, you know, has just summited 𝘄𝗵𝗲𝗀. We know a lot of like Kate as well, just done 𝘄𝗵𝗲𝗀, and she's got others coming on. She's also got like 𝘂𝗲𝗄𝗃𝗁𝗁. So you're almost thinking and planning the next kind of 3 to 5 years, really. Okay, what have I got, and what have I got going on here? How do I plan for that? And you know, we don't even, there's a big part of me that's a bit of a free spirit, but there is also a part of me that likes to plan. And I don't know if it's an age thing, but certainly as you get older, you think, okay, I actually do like to know what I'm doing instead of just going with the flow, which is all good. And there's no judgment here, because I've always been a kind of go with the flow person. But I tell you what, if you could plan the next 5 years and think, right, I know I've got this going on. I know I've got, say, 𝘂𝗲𝗀𝗃𝗁𝗁, and then I know I've potentially got Patagonia in. Plus, I know I'm going to winter skills to get ready for that. And then actually, I feel like I want to go higher. Then you've got, you know, your head is in the right place, I think, because you've got an overview of what you're doing. Your training will be more focused to those challenges. Plus, your general, I feel like if you've got something in the diary or you've got a bit of a plan, you're not really thinking about it as much because you know it's there. And having something, you know, like, you know, the last week has been really miserable in Wales. A lot of rain, dark, you know, it's, and sometimes it can kind of get you down, but you actually think about what you've got in the diary and what you've got coming up. It actually picks you back up again. You're like, oh yeah, I got to work towards that. Now, screw the weather, can't control that. I can control my actions, I can control what I do, and I'm going to enjoy whatever I enjoy before and look forward to your next trip.
Yeah, no, I find that having a trip or multiple trips in the calendar gives me sort of a more purpose in life.
Yeah.
And for me, at least, having more purpose in life means that I get more enjoyment out of it.
Yeah.
You know, everything that I'm doing, I feel like I'm kind of working towards something, even if it's just in my free time. Like, one of the things I've noticed is that way back before I ever started trekking or anything like that, when you just like live, work, weekend, you know, the entire thing I had to look forward to was only ever about 6 days ahead of where I was now.
Yeah.
So your life becomes quite short-sighted.
Yeah.
You know,
true, yeah.
All you ever think about doing is what is possible to do in 6 days, you know, on that weekend. Very occasionally you might book a holiday a few months in advance or a year in advance. But having an epic adventure on the horizon, it's different. It gives different juju. You know, like I get up every day, I start to be more active, I start to train, that makes me feel better, I look better, and I'm more confident. And then the next thing you know, I've done that adventure and I've got a wicked achievement under my belt, and then I've got more confidence to do other things. Yeah. And then before you know it, I've traveled the world.
It's amazing.
Happened to me.
Love it. Love it. Happened to you?
Happened to me. That video? I remember that one. Yeah, I remember it. Yeah. Happened to me. Yeah, but I think pre-2016, I visited Cuba and Australia on holidays.
Yeah. Before your mind had that adjustment.
And then 2016 to now, my God.
Well, I love what Jerome says.
All over the world.
Epic adventures are addictive. Bang on, mate. They are.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic. And I think, was it Ferdinand there? Nice to see you again, Ferdinand. Great to see you. I have a few questions, but not relevant to your topic today. Oh, any questions, honestly.
They're all relevant.
You know, I know we're here. You know, we're here for another probably half hour, 40 minutes. Drop your questions in, unless you know there's any question you don't want to share. You know, with the community, just like private ones, we can answer those after, no problem. But yeah, drop them in. That's what this is about, mate. So yeah, definitely drop them in there. That's perfect, Jim. 1,157 days till Langtang. You counting, are you?
I
love it.
Maybe it's 𝗵𝘂𝗲𝗀.
I was going to say, yeah.
𝗵𝘂𝗲𝗀 does count for you, doesn't it? You know.
Well done, Jim. Not long, mate. Not long.
Yeah.
What's that? 4 years, almost, just under 4 years. Fantastic. But there we go. You got it in the diary, Jim, and now you can kind of plan for that and put everything in place. And no doubt, it'll be 1,156 days. It'll be the day before you go, and you'll be like massively excited.
Exactly. Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Love in the comments as well.
Yeah. Jerome says they're addictive. Lee says they're also expensive. Yeah, but expense is relative. They print more money every day, mate. It's like
I like your thinking.
Yeah, they just invent it. It's just up to us to go out and sort of get it.
And look, this is quite of an open-ended question here, and we've got certainly some plans about what we're going to do in the next few months. But something I wanted to bring to the table today and to the community is that drop in the comments if there's anywhere in the world that you think I would love to go there with Evertrek.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, don't forget we don't do surfing holidays, and maybe in the future, but there are certain areas that we do. But if there's anywhere that you think that you'd like to go, and drop it in the comments. If you think there's a specific mountain you want to climb, a specific place that you'd love to go trek in, maybe an area we already do but a different route, chuck it in the comments. Because for us, obviously, as you can imagine, that's really valuable, because we want to look at trips that you also want to go on, and because we've got our idea from the kind of surveys and different things that we've kind of put out over the last few years. But it's always good just to hear Simon, top of Everest. Brilliant. Yes, I like it. Okay, what else we got here? We got Paul, Mont Blanc Summit, Sophie, Bhutan. Nice. Rachel, Ladakh, please. Great stuff. Keep them coming.
Yeah, I mean, Ladakh is it's possible.
It's high.
Possible.
That's very interesting.
Very
Dave.
possible.
We it is very 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 popular. W Trek in Patagonia, it's very possible.
W Trek in Patagonia, yeah.
Mount Kenya, it's very possible.
W Trek in Patagonia, that is very interesting that someone mentioned that, isn't it?
It is very. 𝗏𝗂𝗲 Base Camp, very interested.
Yeah.
What we got here, Jerome? Mate, you're literally, that is like our bucket list as well. Mount Kenya, no, great stuff. Keep them coming. Keep these things coming, because obviously. We want to make sure that if you are planning and you're looking at what's next, then what's next for us and what's next in terms of our trip launches, because it won't be long pre-Christmas. We've got some very exciting news to share with you. I don't want to kind of tell you today, but we have got some awesome news in terms of the direction of the business and that kind of stuff. And it's certainly with trips. As you can imagine, we want to go and do more different areas. Stuff that we have been working in the background for the last couple of years on a lot of the ones that you've been talking about there, and we've recently teamed up with I think we've got 11 new teams now that we've recently recruited. Now that doesn't mean that we're just going to kind of throw them out there. We need to make sure that everything's up to standard with all of our trips, and Sophie mentioned earlier about like the guides. It's important to us. It's very important to have good quality guides and guides that you trust and are there to kind of look after you, really. And kind of it's almost one of those, isn't it? You never want to handhold people, because I always think going on an adventure there should be some independence about it, but it's certainly easier if you've got someone on your side that speaks the language, that knows the area, sorts out your accommodation, sorts out your dinner. There's something about that, isn't it, that you can just relax. And we appreciate that with guides. You want to find the best. So certainly, with all the people we recently recruited and all the teams which we're getting set up. We've got some very, very, very exciting stuff. Just do the 7 summits package. Yeah, we should. I know.
Well,
we got a few of those 7 summits, only. We're getting there.
We got a few of them. The issue is that one of them is kind of prohibitively expensive. That is the one time where I'll allow complaints about money. Is with the one of the 7 summits, that costs £70,000.
Yeah,
but I'm sure we could settle.
Well, we got monthly payments.
Yeah, exactly.
What we got here then? Iceland and Greenland. Anything with land in it is brilliant. Absolutely fantastic. Greenland. Yeah. It's funny you say that.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant though. Well, thanks for that comments. We'll definitely be coming through here and looking at some of these as well and putting them into the mix. I know from all the people that have commented there, I'd say 80% of what you've commented on there are in the pipeline.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, which is very, very, very exciting. Yeah, Lee, we've just regarding Lee's one there, Denali in Alaska. Yeah, honestly, North America is quite hard to recruit the teams over there. You know, they're already, in terms of selling to the UK market, they're very against it. But hey, we'd love to.
Well, it's tricky, isn't it? I mean, when you go into somewhere like the US, where these businesses are kind of there, established, and have their own way of doing things, it's kind of tricky to kind of imprint your method and your philosophies on how you do it, you know. But I mean, there's tons in the US I'd love to do.
Yeah,
I hear Mount St. Helens is easier to climb though.
Well, you know, it's funny actually. I've been looking at that a lot. I actually found a really good company in was it British Columbia, and yeah, it looks absolutely fantastic.
Columbia to the Lost City.
Yeah, well, it's funny she says that.
85% of everything that you've mentioned is yeah, well, pretty much, yeah. Like,
we got some very exciting stuff with regards to Columbia. Definitely, it's definitely on there. And Ferdinand, not ignoring your questions, we'll come on to it very, very, very soon.
Mount 𝘄𝗵𝗲𝗿 in Ecuador. I think Lee needs to go to the website.
I think he definitely needs to go to the website.
Yeah, I would say to the Ecuador section.
Definitely to the Ecuador section.
Summits of Fire.
Summits of Fire.
Yeah, that's and I dare say, mate, that you can book on that one immediately.
Definitely. We've actually got a trip talking about that in later this month in Ecuador already. So yeah, Lee, definitely look out for some of the pictures and videos. Absolutely. Why not introduce them to Welsh rarebit in Canada? Andrew, everyone loves a bit of cheese on toast, right? Even Canadians with all their varied cuisine. Definitely a bit of cheese on toast would go down well. Sorry, Welsh rarebit. Let's label it what it is.
Yeah. Like posh cheese on toast.
Posh cheese on toast.
Yeah, cheese on toast with a flourish. But
going back then to kind of what's next then, and if someone, you know, just some specifics here, because I know every, you know, a lot of Evertrekkers have done, you know, a lot of Evertrekkers done Base Camp, a lot of Evertrekkers done 𝘂𝗵𝗲𝗄𝗏, a lot of Evertrekkers done 𝘂𝗵𝗏𝗄𝗏. We're looking at, okay, so Dave, I've just done EBC as my first trek.
Oh, okay, congratulations.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah.
You got my certificate yet?
Yeah, no, and your medal, mate.
Oh,
Yeah,
brilliant.
Did you make it to 𝘂𝗵𝗲𝗏?
No.
Lying.
I preferred it.
Yeah,
but I was okay with the altitude.
Yeah,
This is hypothetical now.
Yeah.
Just, you know, messing around a bit. So, okay, I was okay with the altitude. Did struggle for a few days. Lost my appetite.
Standard.
Yeah, where's next, do you think? What would you kind of recommend?
Well, I think that is an interesting question, because you did make it to nearly 5,500 meters when you did Everest Base Camp, but you did struggle. I think there's a lot of other things that you can do. So my first question would be, how did you enjoy the overall experience? Do you feel like you really enjoyed that type of trekking, like circuit trekking, or would you have liked to have achieved the summit? So once you've actually done the trip, I always like to think, okay, now what do you feel like doing next? Do you feel like a singular goal, reaching the top of a mountain, having, you know, one, you know, thing in mind, or would you rather go on like an adventure from A to B to C to D, you know, and travel through a landscape? Yeah. So just to pause then. These great questions, by the way, and this is off the cuff. We're just chatting about this. Is that those questions that Dave just asked, bang on? Like in terms of, you know, what did I enjoy out of that trip? Was it the A to B stuff? Was it that I wanted to actually get to Everest Base Camp, the summit? Was it other stuff? You know, think about that. You know, around yourself, like what was it out of those trips that you really did enjoy that you want more of? Looking at next, because there's so many trips now out there. Obviously, you've got the popular ones, which are great because, hey, Diane, how you doing? Diane pops in. Of course, she's got every single trek that we do booked. That's natural. Yeah. But no, it's and Diane done 𝘂𝗵𝗏𝗄𝗏 and Base Camp and 𝘂𝗵𝗏𝗏. You know, a training weekend
twice. But there are, you know, those questions to ask yourself about. Okay, what do I fancy next? You know, is it a beast of an adventure? Is it more of a circular route? Is it a summit? Is it something cold? Is it an epic? Is it more, do I want something more remote? You know, to get away from the crowds a little bit. Maybe Everest Base Camp was a little bit too busy for you. Maybe you want to go somewhere more remote, somewhere that's quieter. You know, because obviously we don't know the answers, but these are the kind of questions that you can let percolate in your mind, and hopefully some of those destinations are, you know, some of the trips that we do, you know, obviously going forward, and hence the reason why we're always looking to new areas to go. I know it seems like it's slower than ideal over the last few years, as you can imagine, post-COVID. You know, COVID, unfortunately, we weren't completely unharmed from it, so we had to kind of slow down a little bit in terms of, right, we're going to do the stuff and the things that we know how to do well. And, you know, with regards to the recruitment of, you know, different teams in different countries, that is now being sped up a lot. So we're really excited about all of that. So look, I really thank you so much for all of your comments as well, and some of your questions. And I think Naz has asked about Marapeak. We'll definitely come to that. 𝗂𝗵𝗲𝗿𝗲's good good too. Lee, good comments there, mate. Mike, I love Nepal, fabulous journey. It's also who you're with that makes the trip. And exactly. So one of the questions you could be is actually, you know, when we were out in 𝗄𝗵𝗲𝗀𝗀, we met an awesome group of guys, and Keith, who had been on, you know, 𝘂𝗵𝗲𝗀𝗀 trip with a bunch of Evertrekkers. And one of the big things for him, I remember chatting, and was about going with some of the people he'd already been with. You know, like he's obviously done 𝘂𝗵𝗲𝗀𝗀 together, then they wanted to do 𝗄𝗵𝗲𝗀 together. And now they're looking to, you know, they're doing the Tour de Mont Blanc next year. So sometimes, if that's the important thing, it's not about where you go as such. I mean, it is, but it's also about who you go with. I like
the group that treks together sticks together, you know.
I like that. That's
no, just off the top of my head. What do you reckon? Should we dive into some cues?
Sorry, I know I feel like going on a bit there about what's next, but definitely.
So apparently Jody shouted at me today because there was 4 questions from last week that came off the back of our email.
Amazing.
That we should go through. So I reckon. So the first one was Darren Porter.
Hey Darren, how you doing? Hopefully on this live.
𝘄𝗵𝗲𝗁. I'm attempting 𝘂𝗵𝗲 on the 3rd of Feb 24, and would love it if the following questions could be asked to Zach. I can't be live, but we'll catch up. Oh, and then he's asked. So, my God, there's 1, 2, 3, 4.
there's a few questions on here, but that's okay. Away, Dave.
Okay, fine. We'll take turns being Zach, right?
Okay.
So, what did you do about snacks? Did you buy and take with you, or buy any there? How many do you suggest taking?
Okay, and this is 𝘂𝗵𝗲𝗀𝗀, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, with going on a trip like 𝘂𝗵𝗲𝗀𝗀, you do want to take some of your own snacks out there, I'd say, even if it's, you know, something that'll give you a bit of a lift, because at altitude, you know, it can be tough. It's not always a straight road. You know, you might be feeling down for a day, you might be suffering with a headache. So I always think if it's something that can pick you up, you know, give you a bit of energy, whether that's a Snickers bar, whether that's a bag of Haribo's, whatever it is, I would take some snacks out with you. You don't have to. You can get them in country, but, you know, just be prepared that it might not be everything that you know, might pick you up. You probably will find loads of things like nuts, you know, lots of carb stuff, bread, you know, cakes, that kind of stuff. But I would say take some of your own as well.
I always do.
Mix it in. Why not?
Next one, how did you manage washing, hygiene for the 8-day trek? Anything you should definitely pack. So to be honest, I think after a while you just don't bother, to be honest. I mean, because the problem with
is that Dave's plan, is it?
Yeah, well, the problem with 𝘂𝗵𝗲𝗀𝗀𝗀 is, so it's so dusty. The tents and everything around you is completely covered in that dust. So I brought these wet wipes with me, and then at the end of every trekking day, I'd have a bit of a wet wipe wash. But all that kind of does is make you sticky. And then as soon as you move, you're just covered in dust again. So after a while, do you know what? I just thought, I'm going to sack this off. I just gave my face a bit of a wash and brushed my teeth and a little bit of a spray. And that was me done. And then I just worried about it when I got back down. It's not the end of the world. The average smell within the tent, because everyone's doing the same, is sort of this. You won't stand out. So that's personally how I would do it. I mean, you can try and wash every day, but you're fighting a losing battle on 𝘂𝗵𝗲𝗀𝗀𝗀, I'm afraid.
I was just reading there, Mike. That's the thing I didn't like at 𝘂𝗵𝗲𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀, all the dust.
Yeah,
I know, it gets everywhere, Mike, doesn't it? Yeah, it's definitely part of the challenge.
Yeah.
But great stuff.
Last week it was mentioned that a text was sent to see if you managed to summit. Did you get a SIM card there for use, and whereabouts on 𝘂𝗵𝗲𝗀𝗀𝗀 can you use or not use it?
Nice.
So I'm going to go with they didn't get a SIM card.
Yeah.
They did reply to my text. Generally speaking, on Kilimanjaro, the first 4 days of our 𝗲𝘂𝗀𝗀 route, you will receive no signal. And then on the second 4 days, you get intermittent signal. It's not great. A little hack that our guide told me was that if you go into your settings and you change it from like 4G to 2G, it picks up more of a general signal, because it's looking for 4G all the time. There'll be large gaps where it can't find it. With 2G, it's much easier. So yeah, that's how I got my signal. You can get a local SIM if you want. You'll have to go and get it in 𝗲𝘂𝗀𝗀 before you start.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I did it once in Nepal, it didn't work. I mean, but then other people say it does. I just use my data.
There's a few different things. I think when we noticed when we were in Morocco, I know this is Morocco, not Tanzania, but this works around the world, is that you can buy digital SIMs. So essentially now on your mobile, you can actually buy a virtual SIM that you can kind of switch to, and that might have different kind of data. So you don't necessarily have to get the actual SIM card for your phone, which is, and this is kind of a thing last couple of years that's coming. I've never used it myself, but some of the Ever trackers on the Summit in Morocco, I believe Kate was one. Kate, if you're still on, definitely comment, or anyone else who's on that trip, definitely comment if you've used this. But you can just switch. So for instance, if you haven't got any data and you haven't got any text or something, you can kind of switch it to this virtual SIM that might have more kind of signal in that area. I think it's sorry, just saw Jerome there. Carrier pigeons. I mean, hey mate, if it works, a bit of a long journey to send one back to the UK, but you might get there before the pigeon. But you never know, it could work. But yeah, just something to think about with SIM cards. 𝗂𝗄𝗏. Thinking of hiring a sleeping bag, saving myself less volume, doing the safari afterwards. Awesome. Any knowledge of the bags available to hire and their cleanliness, suitability? So yeah, with all the sleeping bags, as you can imagine, they're not brand new and they have been used before. Now they're all kind of cleaned. Obviously they're suitable, because everything you can hire is suitable for the journey, and they're suitable for the mountain. Just be prepared that they are varied sizes, and that they're not all the same. Some of them are different shapes, but they're more than good really for the 𝗂𝗂𝗀𝗀 summit.
Yeah, exactly. Darren, all right, Gaza, he was on a training
weekend. Hey Darren, how you doing?
When I was on the training weekend, Dave, that's me, mentioned heated gloves. What was the make?
Very good.
So they are, Rosie worked really hard at getting a little bit of a partnership with a company called Vulcan, VULCAN, like Mr. Spock. I think he's half Vulcan. And if you use a code 𝗿𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏15, I'm going to go with that's 15% discount because of the number.
It is, yeah.
They're really, really good, especially if you're looking at doing certain like high summits and things like that. In fact, one of our friends is out on Mera and has taken a pair with him now, so I'm looking forward to getting the feedback on those.
Yeah.
I have tried the gloves on and turned them on, and I can tell you that level 3 was probably too hot.
They're really hot. I haven't tried them actually.
They're great, honestly.
Really?
Do you know what I really would have loved them? When I did the winter 𝗂𝗏𝗏𝗏 when I summited, and it was really cold. I was thinking not level 3, because to me that's made my hands sweaty, but a nice level 1. So when you're taking your crampons on and off, your hands are all nice and warm and you can use your fingers properly.
Just kind of segue into cold and keeping your hands warm. We also want the in a couple of weeks, actually on the 30th of November. We wanted to let you all know first. There will be an event going out on the Facebook page. We have got the very lovely Tori James, who was the first Welsh female to climb Mount Everest. I know we started off talking about firsts at the beginning of the live, but yeah, she's going to be joining us now. So it's going to be a little bit different. It's not on a Tuesday; it's on Thursday. So we're going to cross that Tuesday out and put Thursday. So it's still the TTI, but it's on a Thursday. So it's a little bit different, and that'll be on the 30th of November. So put that in your diaries. Talking about planning now. What's next? Yeah, we're going to talk about her kind of experience on Everest. Some of the things that drove her to want to do that. What came after. Some of the things she does now, and I think it'd just be really cool, kind of insightful, live really, and bring some questions as well. Obviously, she's summited Everest. She's done other peaks as well, and Tori, brings a lot of experience down the Himalayas. So yeah, it'd be great. I'm really excited actually. To
Yeah,
go on,
can't wait.
We'll have one on the sofas there. We're going to get the cameras out, make it look nice, and so it'll be a little bit different.
It's kind of like
Gonna be a bit more of a show.
Breakfast television.
It's like Good Morning Britain, is it?
That sort of effort.
All right,
yeah,
we'll do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, have a little Google 𝘂𝗲𝗀𝗁. Bring some questions as well, because obviously we can ask her directly.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're really excited to have her here. So yeah, like I said, it's on the 30th of November. So we're very, very, very excited.
Awesome. Yeah.
Next question.
Ferdinand has said, when we're going to get our 𝘄𝗵𝗲𝗿𝗲 duffel bag at the Aloft Hotel, how about the sleeping bag, down jacket, and also walking poles? Thanks. So yeah, when you arrive at Aloft, generally speaking, day 2, you'll have a briefing with the team over there, and they'll check everyone's equipment. And at that point, then you'll get the 𝘄𝗵𝗲𝗿𝗲 duffel bag and any items you need, like the sleeping bag and whatnot. Walking poles we don't provide, but you're going to be in the center of 𝗃𝗲, which is like a trekking mecca for all sorts of equipment. I've been out there. I've bought sunglasses. I've bought like bottles and caps and buffs and trekking poles by the millions out there. So yeah, if you do want to buy a set when you're out there, more than doable for relatively cheap as well. Nice. I mean, there'll be aluminium ones, but yeah, that's all you're after. That's all you need.
Definitely. I think question as well, possible for me and my wife to have the double bed instead of separate twin. So yeah, there might be a possibility in Kathmandu. There are some available doubles rather than twins, but in the mountains, there's no double beds there. They're all twins.
Yeah.
In all of the lodges and tea houses. So yeah, just something to kind of get in your head, but before you reach the mountain regions. It's just because of the where you are. It's very remote, and although the infrastructure is amazing, and it's come on a lot in the last kind of 15-20 years.
Yeah.
It's still kind of quite basic, and there's only kind of twin rooms.
Yeah.
In the mountains there.
Exactly. Naz has asked, 𝘂𝗵𝗲𝗿𝗲, is autumn the best season to climb? Hopefully next climb. So you can climb it in spring and autumn.
Yeah.
In terms of the best season to climb, it depends really what your sort of comfortability and what you're looking for. So in the autumn, it's generally colder. Spring tends to be more mild in terms of its like lowest temperature.
Yeah.
It's all relative because it's definitely going to go well below 0 on both trips. But yeah, it's certainly possible in the spring or the autumn. I would focus more on, when's the right time for you personally with your work commitments and life and things like that. And then I usually would aim to go sort of middle of the season. At the ends, the weather tends to be a little bit more extreme one way or the other. But middle of the season tends to be the sweet spot. But, having said that, we've had incredible success all through both seasons. So, yeah, I know it's not a straightforward yes or no, but that's because that's the way it is.
Yeah, we got people on. Well, actually, they're at High Camp tomorrow, and then Summit the next day. So, yeah, on the 16th. So we should see some kind of Summit pics filtering through from the community.
Yeah.
I know some of the Evertrekkers that are on the group there. I think they're sharing some bits from the trip. I think it's Chris and Tam. Maybe even I think Colin as well might be sharing some stuff in the group. So definitely have a little keep an eye on the High Altitude Evertrekkers group.
I know Colin's a really keen photographer.
He's brilliant.
But he carries one of those Andy cameras, the ones that are like sort of this big with a lens like that.
He does. He takes his good camera.
They tend not to get updated till you get back.
That's true. He's even with a phone though, he takes some good shots.
I honestly,
he's a great photographer.
Know so little about cameras. I feel like how my granddad must have felt when DVD players came out.
Is that how you feel about phones?
Well, cameras, not those, but like I don't know the difference between a D3 and a D4.
But it's like if I was talking to you about mountain bikes.
Oh, that's
you'd be able to. I think you're talking a different language. You're talking about bikes.
Yeah, I mean, I know. Obviously, I know what the ISO is in order to get those settings correct. That's key.
Brilliant. Good question though. Good question, Naz. And yeah, really exciting. 𝘂𝗶𝗲𝗿𝗲 Peak as well. It's it is a hard trip. Because of the height, it's the highest trekking peak, just over 6,400 meters. So altitude-wise, it's a beast. But yeah, just in terms of the warm-up to that, the route to there, like the 10 days it takes you to get to the mountain, it looks like it's one of the most fantastic places on the planet.
Yeah.
So it's definitely even though it's about the summit, the journey there is fantastic. taking you all the way from 𝗂𝘂, you know, through the kind of the woodland areas, you know, the lowlands, and then as you get to the kind of glacial parts, there it becomes more rugged, and obviously in the distance you can see Mera as you creep towards it. Yeah, very exciting, Naz. But yeah, definitely. Are you already booked in? Looking to book in? Obviously, any specific dates, do reach out to the team, and we can. Okay, right. Let's. We've got say 6 or 7 on this group. Would you like to join that one, or is there anyone else to come with you? Just to make sure we can get you on the right group there.
Certainly.
Jerome, how is the Uganda trek working out? Yeah, great. It's so obviously we've got it on the website to book. We are doing our first trip next year, so there's availability on that trip. Still going ahead. I know there's been some kind of activity in Uganda that I think it was about a month ago now. I think there was a couple of fatalities in the country. I think it was from the Republic of Congo, essentially having some terrorist activity. So yeah, it's unfortunately there are areas of the world that these things do happen. Like anything, it can happen anywhere in the world, right? And it's hard for us because obviously we don't want to stop doing trips just because of that. Obviously, if it was too dangerous, we would. But you know, the guidance we're getting is that, you know, next summer when we run our first trip, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
You know, obviously we've got guides, we've got the security anyway of running trips out there. We're very excited to run it. You know, doing obviously seeing the mountain gorillas, but also as well summiting a 5,000 meter peak. You know, in the 𝗂𝘂𝗲𝗀 mountains, it looks fantastic. So yeah, all good to go.
Can't wait for that one. Can't wait.
Yeah.
Next one, 𝗲𝘂𝗲𝗍.
Hey,
guys, do you plan on doing the Ring of Fire or Summits of Fire? You haven't seen much from any of that one.
Yeah.
Well,
exactly.
yeah. I mean, it's definitely on the cards. It's one of them though. It's more of a niche trip. You know, it doesn't attract the numbers like EBC or 𝗂𝘂𝗲 or Machu Picchu.
Exactly.
You know, it certainly is growing over time. It's one of them as well, where the Summits of Fire is such an epic trip. It's a bit of a dark horse, really. It's probably the most difficult trip that we run in terms of what it takes to actually summit all those peaks. It's like doing 𝗂𝘂𝗲 3 times, you know, in 11 days. In fact, it's probably harder than that. So yeah, but you know, people tend to book it quite a while in advance. In the pipeline, we've got quite some numbers going there.
Yeah.
But yeah, certainly. I mean, Ecuador is probably the place I'd like to go to most in South America.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and for reasons that aren't really relevant to anything other than
to do that dotted line.
I really want to see that dotted line because on the map it looks huge. So when I get there, I am hoping that there's a big dotted line in the middle of the landscape. I want to flush the toilet on either sides of the line.
Okay.
To check if that's true about the thing. But mainly when I was in 2005, me and John, the Great Bald Yeti, were in Florida.
Right.
And we got a taxi one day, and the guy was so friendly. We said, "Do you want to be a taxi driver all week?" And he was.
Very good.
And his name was Augusto, and he was from Ecuador.
Amazing.
And so for 2 weeks, I was getting a sort of a schooling in Ecuador. And, you know, I promised him that I'd go there one day, and a promise is a promise. And
it is. You have to fulfill, mate. Exactly. You've got to get it done. Get out there. But Diane's right. Like, there's not been too many pictures, too many videos about it. Yeah, we've had probably just about a dozen customers over in Ecuador. I think we had our first trip there last year. Stuart, actually, a gentleman called Stuart, has been on. He's actually gone out to Ecuador on his 3rd trip with us. Just because I remember the first time, I think one of the summits he couldn't do because of bad weather. He went out there was a few protests, it kind of couldn't happen, so he's back out there a 3rd time, hoping to summit. He wants to do 𝗄𝗵𝗲𝗶. He did some of the other summits out there as well. It's absolutely fantastic trip that we put together. So yeah, definitely. And the Ring of Fire is a bit more chilled. Certainly the summits is more popular than the Ring of Fire, I would say, just because it's got the summits, but the Ring of Fire still involves a summit. But it's just not as obviously as difficult. It's more of a journey. And we call it the Ring of Fire. It's actually called the Avenue of the Volcanoes in Ecuador. We thought Avenue, not sure about that. Let's call it Ring.
Yeah,
let's call it Johnny Cash on the mind.
It was either that or the 𝗪𝑑𝑒 of fire. You know, but
I never heard that. The *𝗪𝑑𝑒 of fire. Okay,
yeah, was the.
That's right up your street.
So you like that one, didn't you? Yeah, hit the road, mate.
Brilliant.
Simon said, "Are we at Kendal Mountain Festival?" No,
I know.
Normally we tend to work 𝗪𝗁𝗃, rather than Kendal.
Yeah,
it's more our sort of in terms of what we do and in terms of the people we meet, it's more suitable. But yeah, we're not
there this year. Who knows next year? We might. we have got some plans to kind of step it up with our, going to trade shows and or outdoor festivals. This year it's been different. We've put kind of budget into other areas. We'd love to be there.
What was the last one we did?
Would have been Gone Wild. And 𝘄𝗵𝗲𝗃 was cancelled, wasn't it?
Last July.
Yeah.
And then it was supposed to be May this year. Was supposed to be 𝘄𝗵𝗃, and we didn't do it.
𝘄𝗵𝗃, I believe, is the tickets are available now. We're hoping to be there. Not guaranteed yet, but be great to kind of go to 𝘄𝗵𝗃. Just because it is an outdoor festival. It's changed a little bit. I think they had a year off essentially when it was all about the kind of events. They were just doing the running stuff, not the festival stuff with all the companies like us there
and the music and
but this time they're kind of switching it around. So I think they're making it kind of bigger and better because they've been doing it for I think it's almost 10 years now. So it's a great place. I mean, I remember going there as a like you guys going there as a punter, seeing all the companies there, and I was like, Evertrek's got to be here.
Tell you what, one of the best things was they had Trail Mag there.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
They get a lot of like testing equipment, and over the years they gathered tons of this stuff. So they opened up the craziest sale that I've ever seen in my life.
That was nuts, wasn't it?
I queued for about an hour and a half. I remember I was like, we're supposed to be working the stand, and I think we were there, and I had to call back and say, guys, you're gonna have to cover me because I'm not losing this space. But they were selling. I bought a pair of boots for $5.
That's crazy.
A rucksack, a brand spanking new rucksack for £20. Just amazing. I mean, big up Trail Mag for doing that because I think a lot of people got a lot of kit out of there. That was awesome.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic, isn't it? I'm just looking.
You just
sorry, I can't help this. It's just I'm just looking at. Is it 25 days? Sorry, Kate. I know you mentioned. It is, isn't it? I know it's a long trip. But you mentioned about the 𝘄𝗵𝗃 trip. It is pretty much just because of the. Sorry, this is Kate's question, by the way. Any chance to make 𝘄𝗵𝗃 trek a bit shorter than 25 days? It's because of the location. It's really remote to kind of get there. Without using kind of choppers and other transport. Right now it's that is if you're walking there and walking back, it's that is a kind of the days that we need to make it safe. And also from a climatization point of view, you don't want to rush there because it is high. You're getting some really high places there.
Exactly, Kate, and that is what sick days are for.
Wow. What was it you used to say?
Save your sick days for when you're well.
Wow, is that what you do, Dave?
Mate, I do.
Well, I'm never sick anymore, so it's
never, I mean, I've got a bad back today, man. I'm still here.
Still fighting.
I think I came in when I had shingles.
You did. We did. You did EBC.
𝗶𝗶𝗃, which that was
okay, great idea.
That comes from when I was.
You're giving people bad ideas now.
Do you know what? It's like there was a point where I would be, I can't say that. No, I actually don't care. I'll admit freely that when I was a financial contractor, I go to work no matter how I felt because if I wanted to take a week off,
it cost you money.
It cost me money.
Yeah,
so I'd be like, do you know what? I'll go sick. that was when I was working for banks or anything. If they got a problem with it, email me.
Brilliant. Well, look, I know we're. Sorry, that was hilarious.
Sorry, we talked about banks yesterday, and I got annoyed, didn't I?
Hey, it's all good. It's all good. Well, look, we're kind of coming towards the end now of what's next. I know we briefly touched on what's next because I feel like we've gone on so many tangents, but hopefully it's been a little bit valuable today, talking about some of the future stuff, talking about maybe how to approach what your next adventure. Whether you're like Diane, who've got like pretty much 75 trips booked with us, or you've actually just done your first trip. Whatever, how you kind of approach your next trip, and we'll certainly put in more out there. Some of them as well that we're trying to build in. I know that Kate, you mentioned there the 𝘄𝗵𝗃 circuit, which is an epic, but we are planning on doing more kind of shorter kind of trips in and around Europe. So 4 or 5 days, and then some maybe for a week. They're a bit more kind of achievable from a time perspective because we understand that going out and spending 3 weeks is awesome, but it's not something you can do too many times in 1 year. Unless you're retired or self-employed or you've got your own time. So we're going to try and create some more kind of epic journeys on some weekends. So that's one of our plans is to have more weekender trips like 𝘄𝗵𝗃. It's just something that you know, we realize, you know, we kind of want to put out there, because we haven't got too many shorter trips like that. So we wanted to kind of create some more of those, definitely.
Yeah.
And yeah, great. Keep them coming as well. I know we're on the live today, but if you do have any suggestions, it's always good. Just chuck it, you know, chuck it in the group, or send us a message.
Yep.
Obviously, you've got the messenger on the website as well, so you can just drop in there and just say, "Oh, look, just been on the live." I had a couple of ideas once, you know, that say the live finished, and you're like, "Oh my god, I didn't tell them about this." Just ping that across, you know, and we can kind of look at that trip essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ararat Summit, exactly. Okay. Yeah, there's so many cool places to go. And Paul, can you arrange tailored trips for small groups?
How small group?
Yeah.
Or how large?
Yeah, it depends on the location. As you can imagine, you know, we want to work, and the way we've always run our trips is with 𝘄𝗵𝗁 guides. So if it's a place that we've got a team, then we can certainly, like, say you said, okay, we've got a place in Nepal. I know you don't currently do it, but we want to go there, and we want to, you know, take a group of, say, 5 to 10 people, whatever it is. Then yeah, we can certainly put something together. It's not something that we you know, that we kind of advertise, but we can do, yeah, anything. I mean, we can essentially do anything. It takes a little bit of work, obviously, and we need to establish, you know, the costs involved, and you know, how much it would be for you guys. But yeah, certainly we can look at tailored trips.
Yeah.
Certainly, like I said, if we already do trips in that location, it's a lot easier for us, because, you know, it takes time to kind of get them on board, you know, get them up to our level, get to standard, rather than just say sending you with just a mountain guide from anywhere, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you mentioned, was it 𝘄𝗵𝗲𝗀𝗀? Exactly. We've recently had a group who are going out to 𝘄𝗵𝗲𝗀, a gentleman called Dave, not this one, and he's taken 10, a group of 10 as private date out to 𝘄𝗵𝗲𝗀 and doing some of the summits,
Yeah.
as a private date. So we put a cost, put a date, and now he's going on that date.
It's only, I think, $5,000 more is what we charge for a normal trip. So yeah.
Don't Paul. I was like, what?
Yeah, you just make the checkout to Dave.
Make the checkout today.
But
yeah, we can certainly do it, and look at the cost. Obviously, we take a little bit of time, just put the itinerary together. If it's in 𝘄𝗵𝗲𝗀, fantastic, because you know, there's so many awesome mountains in that area that we can do.
Yeah.
Obviously, on the 8-day trip, we do another summit, but there are kind of 4 peaks over 4,000. So, you know, that could be, for instance, a you know, a longer weekend trip that you want to do. Yeah, Paul, drop us an email, mate, and if you've got an idea about numbers and dates, then we can cost that up for you.
Yeah,
great stuff. Well, look, Dave, final words.
Never go. Yeah, no, I always think, I stand by what I said earlier, that, you know, by having a trip booked on,
yeah,
or at least something in the diary that's, you know, has an adventurous element to it,
yeah,
generally does improve my life day to day before I've even gone on the trip. So one of the big reasons why I do it is it keeps me motivated, it keeps me happy, it keeps me focused. When I don't have something to do, or if all I'm doing is working for the weekend, I do tend to flounder a little bit, and you kind of lose motivation to get out there and do amazing things that are outside your front door. So yeah, every time I have a trip booked on, I not only do the trip, but I also travel further afield than you know, my house or work, and see amazing things in the lead up.
Yeah. So
it's enriching on both ends. So yeah, I highly recommend, if you just come back and you want to book another one, the best time to do it is probably right now, or at the worst tomorrow.
Is that what I said?
I don't know, I just made it up.
No, it is, mate. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
I really like that. And Sophie agrees.
Yeah.
That's the important thing.
Exactly.
Great stuff. Lovely to see you all. You know, great to see some regulars and some newbies as well. Obviously, we'll be back next week. But have an awesome week and weekend wherever you're up to. Stay safe out in the mountains or whatever you are in the world. Yeah. Yeah, and we'll see you guys next week.
Yeah, no worries. Take care. If you're planning on coming to Wales, learn to swim.
It has been that wet lately, isn't it? Yeah, we'll see you next week, guys.
Great. Bye. Bye.